There's a lot of national backlash against these games being terrible, which they were, which we stated last week they're going to be terrible. We have our podcast with Trey Wallace, and I said there are two truths that will be irrefutable by the end of this weekend, and that is that both Tulane and James Madison will have the dog shit beaten out of them by their opponents in this playoff. And that's exactly what happened. All due respect to James Madison, I understand you had 500 yards of offense and you did some nice things in the second half. Great job fighting through a game where you're down 34-6 at halftime. That was not a competitive football game. Yes, you covered the spread. Yes, you knocked me out of a winning parlay by a late backdoor cover of covering that minus 19.5. But no, that game was not competitive. You're down 28 at halftime. Tulane Ole Miss was even less competitive than that game. The college football playoff has a group of five problem. And I'm not doing this to take shots at those group of five programs. They are in an unwinnable spot. They cannot compete. This is not the NCAA basketball tournament. You can't put 5 fifth-year seniors on the court that have played together for a long time and go toe-to-toe with Duke or Kansas the way you can in the NCAA tournament. This is not the same sport. Hell, these teams aren't even playing the same sport. The NFL is the most successful sport in America because it's about parity, because they put teams in a position to all be equal. And even when you get really good, they put systems in place for you to get bad quickly. When you're really bad, there are systems in place for you to get good quickly. That's the opposite of college football. We have to stop pretending that these group of five, group of six teams, whatever you want to call them, James Madison, Tulane, Boise State, whoever it is, we must stop pretending that they're playing the same sport as everybody else. They're not. They're not spending like Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia and Michigan and Texas A&M and Miami. Go down the list. They don't have the resources. They're not playing the same sport. And the combined scores show that in these three playoff games so far. And again, it's not their fault. This system was put in place because college football looked at the NCAA men's basketball tournament and said, boy, that's pretty successful. How do we keep the little guy involved? Little guy doesn't need to be involved in this tournament. In fact, I got a solution for all this. Put them in their own tournament. I'd have a hell of a lot better time watching some of those games if you put a bracket together of group of six teams and said, hey, let's let them duke it out for their own national championship. Let's give it a Maction feel to it and play the games on Tuesday and Wednesday night when there's not anything else going on other than NBA games and bad college basketball games this time of year. Don't put it up in competition with the NFL. Certainly don't put it up in competition with the big boy tournament, which is going on right now with the other teams. Put them head-to-head against each other. I'd watch these games. They would rate well. They'd be competitive. It's why the NFL is successful. It's competitive. The games are typically close. And I know that we're going to have quarterfinal games that are routes. And people are going to come back and say, oh, well, I guess that Miami shouldn't be in the playoff also. No, Miami just won a game at College Station. They're capable. These other teams, Hutton, just simply aren't capable of winning in this college football playoff.
Well, and going to, not playing the same sport, I mean, James Madison had NIL. Their budget was around $1 million this year. And that was actually up significantly from the year prior. And they're going head-to-head with Oregon, who has an NIL budget in the top 5 in the country, which is, online it says north of $10 million. I would say north of $10 million for that lineup. Just given the fact that we know what Ohio State and Texas, what they're spending, we have a general idea of what teams in the SEC are spending. To be top 5 in the country, it's well north of $10 million. It's not going to be competitive. Now, here's the real problem. Chad, to me, the ACC is not playing in the same league.
Yeah.
That's why we have 2 of these teams and not 1. It's because the ACC hasn't stepped up their end of this game. And there's the real separation. It's really the Power 2. And the example would be Texas Tech, where you have Cody Campbell, who says, I'm just going to make
He's
sure.
ponying up.
I'm just going to buy the roster. We're going to be competitive. And sure enough, a year later, they are one of the teams with a first-round bye in the college football playoff.
Well, and
speaking
of
you
the
can
ACC,
do this, but
Hutton,
you have to play big business.
Yeah.
And the ACC is no longer big business.
Now, credit to the ACC or Miami for going on the road and beating an SEC team. I saw our buddy Danny Cannell come back and say Texas A&M would be 8-4 in the ACC.
But
given what he saw in that game,
that is why
there's
though,
also a difference. Like people
Madison's
are coming back and saying, "Oh my God, this game is terrible. It's 10-3. You know, it's 3-3 late or whatever it was."
Right,
and I'm thinking, it's a competitive football game. Like this is playoff NFL football, hard hitting. Awesome. This is what you would get in January in cold weather in the NFL. With good defenses. Like, it was a competitive game with really good defense played. Was it aesthetically pleasing offensively? No. Both teams struggled against the other defense badly. But was it competitive? Yes. There was nothing competitive. I had zero interest in tuning into James Madison, Oregon. I tuned over to watch James Madison kick a field goal to make it 34-6 at halftime. And that was it. Luckily for me, Landman is good again. It's fully back. Terrible premiere of season 2, but by God, that show is delivering on a week-to-week basis now. So I got to go back and watch a couple of episodes of Landman that I hadn't seen during the college football playoff. That shouldn't be the case. I host a podcast talking about college football for a living. I should not only have to watch those games, I should want to watch those games. I didn't even feel the inclination I needed to watch what was taking place in that game, and I certainly didn't want to. And because of that, I went and watched Landman.
Wait, we have those.
Billy Bob Thornton was more entertaining.
There was plenty more entertaining than some of the stuff we've seen. And I could, the counter to this would be the lopsided college football title games that we've seen.
Yeah.
But again,
TCU Michigan was not good.
TCU Georgia, sorry. That was a 58-60 point blowout.
Yeah.
But we've also seen Alabama beat Ohio State by 28 points. Alabama beating, LSU
65-7.
LSU, Oklahoma 63-28.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, Michigan 23 points. Again, there have been lopsided performances. We get those, but it's not like we expect it going in. It's not like we program Landman in case the game gets out of hand early on. The first half puts it away. And hey,
there's been blowout Super Bowls. You can't prevent,
first round last year,
at least those teams in the Super Bowl are operating under the same salary cap and under the same rules. They all have an equal chance. These teams don't have a fighting chance against the big boys of the sport. They are playing under different rules.
It feels like a participation trophy because James Madison selling out their 3,500 ticket allotment, to go to Eugene at Alton Stadium. All good. We've got Tulane, who's had over a 300% increase in donations for the football program. All great. But, you have the head coach at Arizona State begging for a millionaire to step forward and just pay the program. The ACC's champion didn't get into the college football playoff, and a 10-2 Vandy didn't get in. So all of a sudden, we're supposed to expect Tulane and James Madison. The setup is there to have one of these teams in, not two. But the setup allows for this because the ACC isn't pulling their end of this in terms of competitive week in, week out football in their own conference. Would I have loved to see Notre Dame play? I was thinking about that. Man, I'd love to have Notre Dame in Texas, Vandy.
Notre Dame, Texas, Vandy, BYU all would have been more competitive games against these teams.
And this is an example why
I don't know they win, by the way, but it's a competitive game.
Sure,
if those teams are in,
it's more interesting for sure. This is why I don't want to see the college football playoff expand to 24 teams because we'll get more of this, not less. It's not like more competition. Will it be more like your average college football Saturday? Yes, there are lopsided contests galore on a weekly basis, but the difference is. James Madison and Tulane are paid to lose those games. They're paid $1 million to show up and face Georgia or Oregon. And in this case, we're supposed to act like it's win in advance.
If we get more group of 5 though against the big boys, I'm out. If we get what I'm advocating for is a complete split. which we know is happening anyways, let them play their own playoff. There needs to be an FCS, there needs to be a middle level, which is group of 6, and there needs to be the big boys.
Sure.
Which is the biggest conferences and the biggest programs. If I get Michigan, Texas in a lower end playoff game, I'm way more apt to watch that and be more competitive than James Madison going up against Oregon and Tulane going up against Ole Miss. I'm fine with the expansion of the playoff. We just have to eliminate these teams from that playoff. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but it's reality. And if you could set up a system where I get more football, and that means football during the week with these group of 5, group of 6 teams playing head-to-head, I'd watch it.
Hey, if you like the channel, become a season ticket holder for Hot Mic by clicking the subscribe button below and join the conversation in the comments section. Agree, disagree, we'll join you there in the chat. Now back to Hot Mic. It's the holiday season, best time of the year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, you've got playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are busy making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there was one place where it just feels good to be right. Prize Picks. New feature. Prize Picks now has early payouts. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Join millions of users. Sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. Download the app today. Use code HOTMIC, HOTMIC. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HOTMIC. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The overall format of the college football playoff is not decided by football people. I mean, they're football fans, but they're the presidents and chancellors of universities. And they're not just in the Power 2 or the Power 4. You know, you've got, Western Kentucky's president, I know, is on this committee, on the board of managers is what they're called. That's how they expand, is ultimately you get them to vote. And that's ultimately why you have the group of 5 or group of 6 included in this, because it was composed of several of those chancellors or presidents.
Yeah,
and you
look,
got their votes.
These teams can beat Purdue in a given year, right? Like the best ones, they can knock off a Big Ten team or a low-level SEC or ACC or Big 12 or whatever. It happens every year. It's not inconceivable, but they could win against the bottom end of the conference. But Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky would have been more competitive.
But let me say this.
With Ole Miss than what we saw on Saturday. And that is just reality.
Well, Duke,
those are the 3 of the worst teams in the SEC. And they could have been competitive with those teams.
This is where you're penalized for having a tougher conference. You know, the ACC is more difficult than the Sun Belt.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm saying, like, you lose 4 games, you're the conference champ. But it's the committee that ranked Duke below them.
Well,
you know, like they're ranked high enough to get in.
So our buddy Josh Pate had a good point on the differing schedules and strength of schedule between different teams.
Yes.
Here's Josh Pate explaining one head-to-head example.
Because here's my argument. I don't think G5 teams should be in the playoff because they don't meet the minimum baseline of struggle during the regular season that it should take to merit playoff inclusion. I was looking at the schedule last night. I took JMU and I took Oklahoma. And I just looked at our power ratings. They're going to be similar with everyone's power ratings. JMU played no teams power rated top 30. They played 1 team power rated top 50, and they lost to them by 14 points. That's Louisville. Oklahoma played 8 teams power rated in the top 30. They're not playing the same sport.
And that's why we have to stop pretending that they are. Like, it's this whole idea that we have to include them. No, you don't.
Well, let's.
And what's next? You really don't have to.
I'd love to do it with Duke instead of Oklahoma, who's in the playoff.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the committee that's ranking them high enough, I'm saying.
And and that's why
both of them.
You cannot give them the opportunity to make the bad decision. The rules are the rules right now, that one's got to be in,
and
this year 2 got. I'm not bemoaning the fact that the 2 got in, because based on the rules set up, that's what should have happened. And what we got was this terrible result with this first round. So what I'm advocating for is, again, this total split that we've already been seeing. Like, get the top level football together and let everyone else play for a different championship. If we're going to follow the money, and it's going to be all about the money, it's going to be a 16 to 24 team playoff featuring the big boys and the big conferences, and they can all compete to get into that playoff, and then those games will be more competitive. We'll watch it more. They'll spend close to the same amount on their rosters, and we don't have to see what we saw on Saturday.
So the college football playoff administration, here's your board of managers, where they're from. Penn State, Western Kentucky, Washington State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Tulane, Troy, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, New Mexico, and Buffalo. That's the committee or the board. You want them voting a certain way? Go sell some T-shirts, which is what they're doing at those two schools.
Yeah, get them out.
Congrats. But yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm just saying committees can change. Like I am saying, let's change it and let's get this thing going.
It's made up
where
of
it's the top leagues.
A president or chancellor from every conference.
Now, I think you're right on one thing is if you're going to be in that top league, you better stay there. And you better spend to that level. You better have top-level coaching. And if you're going to be the ACC or the Big 12, quite frankly, and you want to stay – there's a lot of people pointing to the Big Ten and SEC and saying, these are the teams that will lead the way the next go-around. They could lock everyone out and invite in who they want. I'm not saying that extreme is what I don't want a 40-team thing. Let's make it 65, 70 teams or however many conferences. And, hey, if James Madison and Liberty and Tulane or whoever the hell wants to spend money to those levels and they want to join up, they want to level up and be in that competition, I'm all for that happening. But you can't pretend that the Sun Belt and Conference USA, that those schedules are anywhere close to what you're getting in the SEC or Big Ten.
Not with a small playoff.
It's not the same sport.
And Nick Saban's saying it too. He's saying it's like the minor leagues. Here's this quote from earlier this past weekend. I mean, he says, would we allow the winner of the AAA baseball league, the International League, whatever they call it, would
not a big AAA baseball
in the World Series playoffs? But I'm saying that's the equivalent of what we do when JMU gets into the college football playoff and Notre Dame doesn't.
He's not wrong.
Right, but had Notre Dame got into the playoff, we would be saying it's because of brand.
Yeah.
They're 0-2 and still in the top 25.
Yeah, I think both things are true here. Notre Dame is fine being left out based on their resume and their season, based on the rules that are in place.
Right.
I'm saying let's change the rules to reflect the different sports that are being played because of money. So, money has corrupted this sport big time, and it's going to continue to corrupt it until there's guardrails up. But as long as it's being corrupted this way, let's at least have a product that reflects us following the bag on everything we do. And that is a total separation of big boys and everybody else. And James Madison and Tulane are not big boys.
Just thinking
Neither
out loud,
is Boise State.
Here's a hypothetical group of 5, group of 6 playoff. What if you just designated these for other bowl games that can barely pull a crowd anyway? Like you go, we have 50 of them.
Yeah, like the Detroit Bowl, whatever that was. That's, I think it's gone away since Motor City Bowl. Yeah, you could. I'm just saying, could use some of those things, or you just play it on site at a campus, and you could have one big corporate sponsor that sponsors their Group of 5 championship, and it becomes more of a televised event.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to OutKick Hot Mic.
Daily content and more at OutKick Hot Mic on YouTube.